Niagara 124, your source for news, entertainment, food, and jibber jabber. Put in your thinking caps, abandon your water parks, and prepare for your debriefing on current events. This week on Niagara 124, it's our season premiere, guys. Right? Right? Yes. This is it. The final time. Bobby and I are leaving at the end in May. The show will cease to exist. It's traumatic, isn't it? All this and more on The Death Show. Hello, everyone. How's everyone doing on this fabulous Friday, February 2nd, 2018? Welcome to Niagara 124. As always, I'm Nico.
I'm Bobby.
And I'm Joe, and we are back!
Yep.
Woo! Is my mic fidgety?
Your mic is perfectly fine.
My mic is perfectly fine.
Yes.
Yeah, we always have this issue of
There's no issue with the mic.
I sometimes think my issue is that my headphones are wonky sometimes.
Then you should just switch headphones.
But this is working just fine.
WNIA.
All the technical issues.
The equipment works perfectly fine if you know how to use it.
If it isn't broken, don't fix it.
Yes. That's our motto. So, only true fan. Actually, first, happy Groundhog Day, everyone.
Hey, Groundhog Day.
Yeah, put your little hand in
apparently, we have, as they say, two more years of nuclear winter.
Ooh.
Yay. That's going to be fun.
If anyone gets that joke.
We'll be talking about something like that later.
Oh, will we?
Anywho. But also, because this is Niagara 124, and only true fans will remember this. Only true fans will remember Season 1, Episode 1, Guardrails.
Gatekeeping.
Bobby. So, did you hear about them there? We're going to go back all the way, flashback.
So, what did the guardrails do this time?
It's not what they did, but, so, in Season 1, Episode 1, we talked about how guardrails were killing people. And Bobby believed that the guardrails were waking up in the middle of the night and coming and stabbing people to death.
They were put there to keep us safe, but in reality, all they did was harm us.
Yes. So the type of guardrail that was actually killing people was a breakaway design that didn't break away. It would just stab through your car and kill you. So actually, yeah, the guardrail would stab you.
The guardrail lived long enough to see itself become a villain.
But New York State, by 2020, I think it is, will be getting rid of all those guardrails and replacing them with the kind that don't stab you.
Cool.
Good.
So, what do you know? It's been, 3.5 years since our first episode, and New York State is finally doing something about murdering guardrails. So, you know.
It's been a long time coming.
Good thing we don't have to talk about everything else we talked about on the first episode, like Gamergate, because that stopped and never escalated.
Oh, yeah. No, it's not like there's still controversy here.
Moving on.
I'm still a vehement supporter of ethics in journalism.
Moving on. Interesting Niagara Falls news. Channel 4 did a thing about Wonder Falls, and you know how I feel about the Wonder Falls water park. So, I am very irritated I'm a very angry boy.
I can tell you were quite upset.
I'm an angry boy.
Angry boy.
Quite angry.
I'm an angry boy.
Wait, so what happened?
So last July there was it all started when the owner of the Sheraton, guy DiCenzo, was like, "Hey, I'm gonna build a Daredevil water park, and it's gonna be an indoor Daredevil water park on the Sheraton, and I want the state to give me like a couple $1 million for it." And the state was like, first of all, you literally verbatim stole the line of what Wonderfalls was, like line for line, a Daredevil themed water park. Like he just took it. Secondly, we already gave the hotel money, and thirdly, we're not gonna give you money for a competing water park when we have Wonderfalls that was announced 3 years ago and nothing happened. So then he gets DiCenzo becomes angry boy, and is like, well, they're not giving me money. That's unfair. And in the meantime, we're like, hey, speaking of Wonderfalls that just got brought up, where is Wonderfalls? And Uniland Development, who are the people contracted, but the contract is still kind of inked, but not really, and they haven't exactly figured out any sort of progress, and nothing's really happened, comes out and they're like, well, this is our plan, and it's this beautiful European-style indoor water park with stonework and all, beautiful.
Yeah.
Would blow this lame DiCenzo water park out of the water because he's
very
basically
high class.
building a really crappy splash lagoon.
What about compared to something like Great Wolf Lodge?
No, it's not even. Okay.
I was about to say, how's that measure up?
Wonderfalls is infinitely better than Great Wolf. It's more adult. Like it's more like stonework.
Oh, I was about to say like fun adult.
Wait,
or
like real quality. The renderings are better than Great Wolf.
Oh,
so this is all just like a concept
This is
thing?
all like
yeah. Okay.
concept.
All right.
But there's also a gajillion dollars going.
Yeah.
It's like a 200. It's
Okay.
like a quarter gajillion dollar project. It costs a ton. But DiCenzo's basically building, like, when you look directly across to Canada, and there's a couple of those multicolored slides in a glass box. That's what he wanted to build. So as it goes into the future, Uniland goes to the council like a week after DiCenzo's getting all angry and is like, well, here's our updates. Here's how beautiful. Niagara Falls is an unproven market, so we can't get investors to invest. And I'm like, you can't get investors to invest in 8 million tourists a year? Really? Like, really? Nope, it's going to take a significant amount of time to do this kind of venture. We need to get right. It takes a significant amount of time. So now
20 years.
Here we are in last week, so it was Tuesday, so it was actually Monday, so it's still January, and Channel 4 is doing their Channel 4 New York State Investigates, and they started off by talking about Wonderfalls. And so I'm angry at Wonderfall, because Wonderfall's still like, we're not off the ground yet. We might eventually. It takes a significant amount of time, Once it does, it's going to take like another 2 years to build this thing. So, we're looking at, it should be done by the time you're all dead, but
Coming.
and then
coming from your grave.
But it's okay because DiCenzo, thanks to Senator Robert Ortt, the county, which is a red county, against a blue state, went, oh, Cuomo won't give you the money? We'll give you the money. So the county gave him like something like $2 million. He was asking for $10 million from the state, but the county gave him $2 million in discounted electricity and like discounted water and discounted everything and like
just to troll
and like
Cuomo.
a bunch of stuff, right? So I'm like, oh, good, we're on track. And DiCenzo, Channel 4 talks to DiCenzo, who is like, well, my project is on hold because the state refuses to give me money. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Like, the county gives you pretty much everything. Well, I wanted money from the state. The county gave you the money. Well, it's on hold. So what happens to the money then? Do you just get? In fact, the city gave him some money too. I think it was like council votes and stuff, and they won't give things that need money. And it was bad. And now I know that he's just playing this game because he's not going to get the money, so we're not going to get that water park. So
I was about to say, it just seems like
Angelo Morinello, our local assemblyman, was like, we need to stop trying to hit home runs. We need to start hitting singles because we keep falling into this trap like, hey, let's build Wonderfalls. That'll solve all of Niagara Falls' problems. One big giant project.
Yeah, build
a bunch
4 small water parks.
Yeah,
Build
like,
4
let's just
small water
let's just
parks,
build
yeah.
a bunch, like not even water park, just build a bunch of small things, like bottom up, which is what community development's trying to do. So I don't know, the Discover Niagara shuttle?
yeah.
Okay, so the Discover Niagara shuttle, that free shuttle that runs from
I've ridden it
downtown.
before.
And it's a great shuttle. I mean, it's a great feature, and it got funding again this year in a council meeting for funding that lasted from 6 at night until 10:30 at night. Because the councilmen kept asking the same 4 questions, apparently, because they hadn't talked to each other before the meeting, had no idea what was going on. Because our council, it's a part-time job. They make $12,000 a year.
They got other things.
They have other things to do. They're not there all the time. But one of the interesting things I found out about the shuttle is the shuttle came out of a idea that New York State Power Authority wanted, because remember how they redid the Power Vista?
Yeah.
So when they were redoing the Power Vista, they said, we want a shuttle to run from the New York State Niagara Falls State Park to the Power Vista on the Robert Moses Parkway. And the people from the shuttle were like, well, why don't we run it through Niagara Falls so there's more stops and, we can get more things. And the state went, no, we want it to run from the state park to the Power Vista. Because I don't know if you know this about the state, but the state doesn't really like us. I don't know why that is, but for some reason, the state is very encourages people to stay within the state park, and we don't get any of that money because it's a state park, so the state keeps the money and doesn't get invested back in the community. But another thing I learned is DiCenzo at the Sheridan has a made-up tax on all of his bills. So if you go to the TGI Fridays or you go to the Rainforest Cafe, their prices are hiked because he has a 5% tourism tax that he just pockets because it's not a city tax, it's not a state tax, he made it up. Yeah. It's a tourism fee. It's not like the bed tax. There's a bed tax that you have to pay because tourism, hotels pay bed tax. Yeah. Like he made up his own tax that he basically pockets and then says he invests. So, I mean, that's not...
That's a bit. It doesn't look too.
I don't know
savory.
about that. What's funny though is because he owns a lot on both sides of the border. Canada does have a tourism tax. Like Canada has a 5% tourism
Canada
tax.
has a lot of taxes.
So they have the GST, the PST, but Niagara Falls, Canada has a 5% tax on top of all this. That is like a tourism tax that Niagara Falls, Canada takes. So it's almost like because that tax is there, he also put that into the American one, but it's made up and it's hidden in the bill, and that's kind of like really bad. And the TGI Fridays there also hikes their prices. It's not a regular TGI Fridays.
Yeah.
So like their prices are hiked, and someone I was talking to actually brought the menu up from the website with the prices and said, your price, like the menu prices were hiked.
You are hiked, sir.
Like they're making up prices.
That is too expensive.
But you're in the tourism center, so what else are you gonna? And I told you, did I mention the fact there was someone in my Tourism Ventures class that said there is nowhere to eat in Niagara Falls?
There are places to eat.
I counted. And I undercounted. Originally, I said there was 14 places to eat on Pine Avenue. There's like at least 16 places to eat on Pine Avenue.
Pine Avenue.
Pine Avenue.
But you also got 3rd Street, which has its stuff, and
so let's count Pine Avenue because I just want to prove a point that
we got McDonald's.
McDonald's.
We got Tim Hortons.
Okay, so we'll start with McDonald's, Tim Hortons. Which side? Do you want to start from the Portage side, or do you want to start from the Hyde Park side?
It doesn't matter.
Okay, let's start from the...
I know McDonald's and Tim Hortons.
We'll start from the Portage
Como.
side.
The Como, yeah!
Okay, why does everyone keep calling it the Cuomo?
I said Como.
You did.
Como. Oh, the Como.
The Cuomo.
The Cuomo!
In my class, they're like, oh yeah, well, there's Michael and the Cuomo, and I'm like, Michael and the Cuomo. Like, no. But, so
just
here's
Governor
the
Cuomo
deal about Pine Avenue.
McDonald's.
So here's the deal with Pine Avenue, and I'm gonna add Frankie's and the Chinese place on Portage because they're like 5 feet away from Pine Avenue. I think they count.
All right.
I mean, you can see them from Pine Avenue. They count. So we'll start from that end. We'll go Frankie's, that Chinese place, the other Chinese place on 15th and Pine,
Colosso?
Club Joey's. We're not there even at Colosso yet. There's a sports lounge there. There is Club Joey's. There's another Chinese place. There's McDonald's. There's the Market Side. There's Gagsters. There's Goodfellas.
Well,
there's 755.
The Lebanese place.
Would you consider
There's Cataract Grill.
Would you consider all of these technically on Pine Avenue? Because I know they're
The
not.
ones at the market are on Pine Avenue.
All right.
The market's part of Pine Avenue.
right.
Fortuna's is cheating, but I'm gonna count it.
Yeah, I was
because
about to say
you can't-
Fortuna's.
The only way to get to it is from the market through
Yeah.
Pine Avenue. But they're all considered Little Italy businesses.
Okay.
So I mean, we're already at like 5.
Yeah, I could have
You
named
have,
all those.
you know, there's a third Chinese place. There is La Hacienda. There's Michael's. There is Faux Golden just opened. There is. I should bring my notebook because
Have you been to the 755 recently?
No, I haven't.
Lebanese
we
place is
haven't been there
amazing.
either.
Well,
I
In
have.
a while.
I
Yeah.
have.
They
Yeah.
just did. A
Oh yeah, I
case
have.
swap there.
They're good people. They're good people. They're great food.
Yeah,
Like,
oh, yeah.
The Lebanese food. I have had probably the best hummus I have had is at that place.
There was a cash mob a couple in January at the 7.5 because community development does cash mobs where they say,
Yeah.
"Hey, come on this day," and everyone just buy stuff. I couldn't go to either of them. I was in class, but the 755 is good. And Faux Golden that just opened, it's like a few steps down from Tim Hortons. It was voted as having the best pad thai in Western New York
Really?
by the Buffalo News. And the
Wow.
Buffalo News does not give anything to Niagara Falls.
They gave Frankie's Donuts best donuts.
No, there's no way.
Yeah.
No, they must over Paula's.
No wait.
No, they didn't. You're wrong.
I'm trying
They
to
gave it
think.
Paula's.
I
They gave
think
it
it.
to-
No, it was. I think it was.
I mean,
Frankie's.
I still believe everyone loves Paula's, but a Frankie's donut is just a Paula's donut that is manageable. A Paula's
Yeah.
donut, you eat a Paula's donut and you regret it for like a month.
Yeah.
I think both Paula's and Frankie's were on there.
They probably were because everyone's like, "Oh man, Paula's is so good." I'm like, "Yes, but Frankie's is slightly smaller, but still absurd." And Frankie's is also, know what I like about Frankie's?
What?
Which is kind of annoying about Paula's? Paula's closes at like 10 or 11 at night.
Yeah.
Frankie's is open 25/8. They're open for so long they defy the laws of time and space. They are always, you want a donut at 2 a.m.? You can go to Frankie's and get a donut and a coffee at 2 a.m. It's crazy.
Nice. Some good drunk donuts. Those are the best.
Frankie's is wonderful.
I was gonna say.
Honestly, between
Great, but-
Frankie's and the pancakes at the market side. But, I mean, there's people that are like, yeah, there's nowhere to eat. And then they're like, oh, there's nowhere to eat downtown. I'm like, 3rd Street.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like,
we went
that-
to
that Power City Eatery.
I just went there a few weeks ago. They have really good
Power
sandwiches.
City
Yeah.
Eatery is like, their bagels are insane.
Sandwiches are the best as well.
And their coffee's good, too.
Yeah.
And then there's, I mean,
There's that Nashville North place, which
it's not Nashville North anymore. Now it's Rust.
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 Rust. And they were tweeting Trump memes.
Ha!
I always follow businesses, but like that was a little suspect that they're like, hey, like, and instead of like taking Nashville North and like using that Twitter and just changing the name to Rust, they made a new Twitter like, hey, and use Nashville North to tweet, hey, remember us? We're now Rust. Go follow us at Rust. I'm like, just change the handle. Like, what are you doing?
I don't know.
But it's like crazy.
Oh yeah. Speaking of, that's a good transition. Either of you guys watch the State of the Union? Either
You
of you guys?
mean Conan O'Brien?
No, you mean the pure essence of comedy?
Hi.
I mean,
We're just about to talk about your favorite thing that I don't.
State of the Union.
of the
And
Union.
more importantly, Conan O'Brien's response.
I wasn't talking
I'm
about
sorry,
Conan's.
I meant Kennedy.
Kennedy.
They found the most Kennedy to ever Kennedy. I was like,
Yeah, they found Bobby
it
Kennedy's
was weird
grandkid.
because like his accent is not like. So I turned and I'm like, okay, why does he look like Conan O'Brien made out with a Kennedy? But he sounds like the most like Kennedys don't sound like every Kennedy is like. So
My
actually,
fellow Americans.
I sat there and as he's talking about like, and he's like saying like what he's saying, I was dubbing over it in Kennedy voice. So I was like, we care about each other. We choose to go to the moon. And then he
didn't-
starts speaking Spanish. I'm like, didn't the Cubans assassinate your like uncle?
I didn't watch any of the State of the Union, so
Yeah, it was like the second longest in history.
but
It
I
was
gotta tell
really
you,
long.
he.
Well, I
I
thought-
heard he did the hand pinchy thing like 140 times.
Of course he did.
The okay thing,
Yeah.
Yeah.
because Trump is a master troll at this point because he basically talked about the most bipartisan, we can all mostly agree on these issues things, and the Democrats still sat down with the funniest sort of sore loser faces I've ever seen. My father and I were watching it, and we could not stop laughing at their faces. It was great.
Yeah, I actually ignored the State of the Union while it was on because I'm done with that
I
kind
didn't
of politics.
bother. I didn't want to listen to Trump talk for 2 hours.
Local politics are my game. I care about local politics. I care about my community. What's happening nationally doesn't matter. This tax bill is simultaneously a mess and also wonderful because apparently all the businesses are just like, everyone's like, this tax bill is evil. And then Apple came out and they're like, we're going to open a second hub. And everyone's like, oh, did the Trump tax bill have everything to do with that? And Cook came out and he's like, well, I'm not going to say it didn't. I can't say it didn't because it helped, but I mean, there's so many factors, and who am I kidding? Yes, it did. And then Starbucks came out and they're like, yeah, no, this Trump tax bill is kind of like really good for us.
And they can't, and the thing is, the reason that they can't just say, oh yeah, it's helping us, because you can't, that's the party line. You cannot, he can't do anything right.
It's hurting New York. It's hurting New York.
No, it's the Antichrist. And it's like, I don't like the guy, but the man is not the devil. Jeez.
He didn't even create the tax bill. It's a Republican tax bill.
It's a Republican tax bill. But
in fact, Donald Trump is just being crazy, so the Republicans can be like, hey, you see this tax bill? Let's push that through. Hey, you see all this stuff going on? Let's push this through. And then, because there's so much infighting, they decided to shut down their own government.
Yeah.
And the Democrats like, this is the first time ever. And it's like, okay, Democrats, you know you're... Like, the Republican Party doesn't
First time ever the government has shut down with the Republicans in control of all sections of the administration.
Like, of course, but
then
difference,
again,
and this is the difference, and I try to tell people, and they're like, oh, the Republicans are crazy. No, the Republicans are dysfunctional because there's no such thing as a Republican. There's Republicans, Tea Party, libertarians stuck in the Republican thing. There's super conservative Republicans meeting like moderate Republicans.
There's rhinos.
There's people like McCain in there. But the Democrats, so the RNC is not very good at saying, okay, we need to all be unified, we need to do this lockstep. The DNC is very much like...
lockstep. You will sit down. You cannot stand up and clap.
Debbie Wasserman Schultz jumped on a grenade for the DNC. I mean, like, the DNC...
It's like a cult.
It's not a cult. It's the DNC is much better at, like, the Democrats are much more lockstep and universally kind of follow this. You do this or you get nothing. The Republicans are so used to just sucking in the last cajillion years that they try to barter everything. Yeah. The Republicans barter. That's all they do. They try to make deals, they try to barter, they try to negotiate. They're fighting. They have to negotiate with their own party.
Yeah.
The Democrats are like, if you're not with us, then bye-bye.
Yeah.
And that's the difference between the two parties. I'm registered Republican, but I'm registered Republican because I like the way the economy functions. Like, this tax bill is gonna, hurt. It's not gonna hurt them. It's like $100 either way over 10 years. So it does get a chunk. It hurts New York, but New York State's a Democratic state. It's never gonna bother me. But I like financially, if you're in a financial issue, which we were in, we're in the economy. How do I figure this out? How do I put this? When the personal economy is collapsing, so when consumer economy is down, and you need to give money to individuals, it's good to have Democrats in office because they like to give money back to the people.
Yeah.
And I mean, they will hike taxes and they'll try to kind of spread the wealth so that people have money to kind of put back into the economy.
Yeah.
But businesses don't have overhead money because their taxes are high.
Yeah.
So businesses kind of hurt, but the consumers are spending, or at least trying to. Democrats are good at stabilizing an economy. Republicans are good at launching an economy. So like with Republican tax bill, you're seeing like the stock market is increasing, exponentially, and it's technically it's probably a bubble that's going to burst eventually.
Yeah,
but consumer spending is back up to a high it hasn't been since the recession. You're seeing a lot of big expansion deals, which is one of the things that Trump had promised was he was going to bring, business expansion into America, and everyone's like, I'll believe it when I see it. And he actually he didn't. The Republicans did. Through this tax bill, you see companies are expanding now.
Yeah.
But I mean, a company is always going to convolutedly kind of
follow its own interest.
They're never going to lose money because they can't. I mean, you lose money if you're a publicly traded and it's always if you're a publicly traded company, your shares will collapse if you start losing money. Just look at any retail right now. You're screaming. Yeah. But what's interesting, that's why I said I like Republican economy because it's a very consumerist economy.
Very capitalist.
It's not good. Republicans are not good for necessities. That is one of the issues. Republicans are never at the point where you're going to get excellent health care and you're going to get excellent education. You're going to get all these, benchmarks that these other countries have. What Republicans are good at is creating physical jobs. So they say each side has a different sacrifice. Democrats sacrifice consumer jobs, and mainly like consumer jobs and factory jobs, and kind of more of a blue collar, working class job.
Yeah.
They sacrifice that in favor of high class scientific jobs, college level jobs. They want to give people more college. They want those higher jobs. Republicans kind of sacrifice that those tech jobs, that high ed job, in favor of working class jobs, which there are more of currently. There's a lot more blue collar,
and that's a big thing. What put the Republicans in office?
And that's kind of the difference. And the reason I like that is Niagara Falls is still to this. It was an industrial city. It's no longer an industrial city, but it came out of but it's also a tourism city. And that is no matter which way you slice it, hotel, hospitality, a lot of that is a form of blue collar job. Mm-hmm. They're all working jobs. Even retail is a work, unless you're like a CEO of retail is a working job. By having companies, industry, even real blue collar, like industrial, which there is still some around here, expand and, want to build more and do these things, you're creating more of those working class jobs. They don't pay as much as the high-end jobs, but there's more of them. And that's the caveat. So one of the things that happened was when a lot of these companies, you'd say, like New York State raised the minimum wage. When New York State raised the minimum wage, companies hired less workers.
And they put in more technology.
The individual worker was getting paid more, but they were working more hours and they were getting paid more, but there was way less workers, so there was less of. And New York State just made it so if you're an on-call worker, if you show up and and you're working for an hour and they have to send you home, they have to give you 4 hours pay. Or if the other way, if they have to call you in, they have to give you 4 hours. If they have to call you in and you weren't scheduled, they have to give you more. And basically that is causing people to scream in business, because sometimes, especially in industries, Benderson, who owns Delta Sonic and the mall, so you could see what's going on in the outlet mall. They're shutting everything down left and right because Benderson will let it sit empty before they hike rent. The head of Benderson came out and he was for Delta Sonic and was like, we were going to expand Delta Sonic. We were going to expand our locations. We're not going to do that anymore because their entire job is weather related. So if they have to, the entirety of Delta Sonic is, if you're, on call to show up and it rains that day, New York State is basically telling them, well, you still have to pay them for 4 or 6 hours or whatever. I can't remember the exact numbers. But you basically have to pay them even though no one's going to be here and you don't need them. So they just have to sit there and twiddle their thumbs because you have to pay them, so you're not going to send them home. So they're just sitting there doing nothing, and that's a lot of wasted money. Where originally the company would be like, well, it's a slow day. And for workers, and a lot of workers are like, yeah, this is great because I get paid. But on the other hand, they're not going to hire as many workers. You're just going to be there no matter what. There's going to be, and so that's it. They're not expanding. So they got in trouble. This is hurting business. It's great for the worker, but in the long run, nothing's great for the worker, because as much as we don't like the idea of top-down economics, trickle-down economics, a company will never ever lose money. Ever. The whole point of capitalism is to not lose money. And if you're putting something in place that is like, hey, we're going to make the average, wage increase, great. Your unemployment's going to go up because they're hiring less people, but the individual person is, going to get paid more. It's an uneven kind of distribution of wealth.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yes.
How's it going?
Yeah. I was about to ask, would you like to make a comment, Bobby, or?
Oh, no, I'm good. I just, wow.
That was an intense
I haven't
discussion
been
of economics.
For the last 15 minutes. I'm
yeah,
sorry.
Bobby's been asleep. Yeah.
I got another topic if we're done with that one. You guys following this on social media? I'm actually very happy about this. You guys hear about the protests going on in Iran? The protests of the theocratic government?
No.
Yeah, there was a big protest, and these women were standing on street corners in Tehran, and they had their hijabs. And
I did see this.
And they took them off, and they put them on sticks to protest the forceful wearing and the theocratic rules of the Iranian.
This is good. I'm okay with this.
This is an awesome thing. We should stand in solidarity. And Trump has actually openly said that he supports, during the State of the Union address, not sure how wholeheartedly he feels, but he said he supported these protests in Iran. And this is a good thing, because this might help push change in Iran. It'll probably not be as dramatic as we'd like, but it can still happen, and there can still be these reforms, and it might trickle out to other countries in the Middle East.
I like that he supports protests in Iran, but not protests that happen here in our country.
Well, it's different.
Well, the reason he's not supporting... Trust me, he's not supporting protests in Iran because, he cares, oh yes, I'm very pro.
I'm very pro.
No, he's protesting Iran because his entire thing was based on, we are being, treated so unfairly by Iran and the nuclear deal and blah, blah, blah.
But you can still agree that this is a good thing.
Well, this is a great thing.
Great thing, because these protests, if these are successful and these push through reforms in Iran, these can spread to other sort of theocratic regimes in the Middle East. I mean,
I like how you think that's actually gonna.
That could help.
We try. I don't know if you remember 8 years ago when we tried that and it didn't work.
What?
The Arab Spring.
That's only because the organizations, the Muslim Brotherhood and these sort of radical organizations ended up taking over the movement.
And who does? And what do you think happens in any of these movements? Do you think that's not eventually going to happen? But anytime there's a power vacuum created, this kind of stuff happens. Unfortunately, guess who created this mess? And I hate to say that we created this mess in Iran.
Oh yeah, if you know the history of Mossadegh in the 50s and the CIA overthrowing of the Democratic League, yeah, that happened. We did that. I mean, we did a lot of bad things during the Cold War.
We did that, TM.
We did that. Yeah, exactly.
We did a lot of bad things in the Cold War.
Well,
everybody did a lot of bad things.
They wanted to nationalize their oil,
and we couldn't let that happen.
We can't let that happen
because Dwight D. Eisenhower thought he smelled communism, so we gotta take the freedom stick and hit him on the head.
Gotta take the capitalism stick.
Nice. It's just, this was bad. Like I said, it's the Cold War. We and the Soviet Union were both really big jerks during the Cold War.
Well, of course, that was the entire point of the Cold War.
Who's the biggest jerk?
We had nukes.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, the only reason the Cold War ended was because we outspent the Russian military.
Yeah,
but
also by tricking them into thinking we were creating a space laser.
But also the communist.
Reagan.
But also the communist system, without the sort of China-esque adoption of capitalist tendencies, couldn't really compete with a capitalist economy if it's a pure communist economy, given the fact that innovation is stagnated and the myriad of other factors.
Yeah. Also the issue with communism is. People like to say now, and this is my issue with a lot of
the far left idiots.
Nah, I wouldn't go that extreme. But I would say, you see a lot of people now that are have either socialist or communist.
Yeah.
And that has always been a college thing. It's been around for. I mean, hippies
Since,
started in college. That forever. College is a
hippies aren't exactly communists.
Okay, but colleges, they're socialist.
Communist.
I mean,
They're
yeah,
social.
they're kind of like that. Yeah.
Hippie. I mean, anything that is a shared wealth system is just communism.
Yeah,
is pure
socialist
form,
tendencies.
is a shared equalism, shared wealth system.
Yeah.
You know, it's the opposite.
Communes and
it's
such.
the opposite of capitalism, in which there's a kind of a hierarchy put in place.
Yeah.
But college has always been liberal. That's what college is. Like, college is always that kind of the hippies on campus.
Well, until the 60s when they took over, yeah.
Yeah, so basically the whole thing with communism that people don't seem to know, they're like, well, communism doesn't work because it's,
I can give you a myriad of factors.
Yeah, but I mean, they think, they're like, well, communism works, it's just never been instituted correctly because dictators come through. And I'm like, no, communism can't work because of human nature.
Exactly.
I mean, as much as you think you like communist ideals, you don't.
Yeah,
you like the idea of free
stuff.
Free stuff.
And
it's not. There's no such thing as free stuff. I mean, technically, even if you spread wealth.
Oh yeah.
Open the door. Let my homie in.
Homie's in. But what really, but what really scares me, and this honestly scares me, is that it seems to me that a lot of people who preach this don't know the effects of communist dictatorships or the terrible things that happened under them. They just don't seem to be that educated in that. You remember that poll saying like 20% of college students who were polled said Stalin was a good guy or something like that, or Che Guevara?
Well, it's the same, but that concept has always been in existence because humans are complicated. And if you need, America's guilty of this too. I mean, America's heroes are not these wonderful people.
Yeah, but they,
pure of heart.
They weren't pure. Nobody's heroes are pure, but they had the philosophy that ended up being the sort of
It works.
It works very well. It works very well.
As much as America is in a dysfunctional state right now, it's not. We're not a third world country.
We're doing really well.
We're not Afghanistan.
We're not we're not a crap hole country.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my rhetoric is dangerous.
Yeah.
But one of the issues is, as much, and everyone's like, it's like, well, China's beating us economically. I'm like, we don't need to try to beat China. Like,
China's tied to us.
Trying to beat China economically is, like, of course, because China, labor conditions in China are absurd.
Oh, yeah.
The air quality, as much as we cut back our EPA, we could never be as poisonous as like some of the major cities.
Oh, yeah.
I talk to kids. As the population in China is obscene. The amount of people that are packed in that country. It's like every person I know, they're like, they have like, I came from a town that had 3 million people.
Jeez.
You can imagine in America we have a little bit of breathing space, and in European countries you have a lot of breathing space.
Yeah.
And the other reason, taxes pay for everything in and they found out, taxes pay for everything in Europe, and this is the argument for when you always see the free college stuff.
Yeah.
Or discounted college, and colleges pay through taxes.
Yeah. But the thing is with Scandinavia and those European countries, most people don't know they're not socialist economies. They have socialist leanings, but they're still market capitalist economies.
They're still market capitalists. One of the things, with their healthcare systems and things, there's two things working for these countries. One is they don't nearly have the population of the U.S.
No, they do not.
Let's compare Canada to the U.S. Canada is the second largest country by landmass,
but they don't have a lot of people.
They have about as many people.
They've got a lot of trees.
Yeah, exactly.
And
moose.
And one of the things, and there was actually a paper written on Germany, and I like using Germany as the case example because Germany has free college. People stay in college longer in Germany because it's free. So there's less people going into the workforce, which does put strain. But you do pay for college in Germany. It's called taxes.
Yeah.
So the taxes pay your college. So it's considered free. But let's say, Joe, what are you going for here?
Double major history and political science.
Okay, so you're going for history. Let's say you're getting a bachelor's degree in history and political science. Bobby, let's just say you're going for neuroscience. You're
mean-
going for a doctor. You're going for like an 8-year doctorate.
Bobby's gonna be a doctor.
Yeah, like a or a 10-year doctorate in neuroscience. He's technically paying for your degree.
Thanks.
So even though his degree is not as valuable as yours, and he's not going to make as much money as you, over time, which is the same thing as a loan, you're paying over time, through his taxes, he's technically paying for your degree. So everyone's actually paying more for college through their tax system.
Oh yeah.
The other thing, but the only reason that Germany can really get away with this, or these a lot of these countries can get away with it, is their population is a lot less. The United States could, maybe a certain states could get away with it if they had a low population, but having a high tax, and that's New York State is basically trying to give people free college and attempt it. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you saw how the Excelsior scholarship worked. It's been backfiring horribly.
What are you talking about?
Okay, so you know how New York State was
the New York
free
State tuition
the
thing.
New Excelsior scholarship, the free college tuition in New York?
Enhanced tuition?
Not the enhanced tuition.
No,
Okay.
The one, if you make under 150,000, you can go to a SUNY school
I don't know.
for free.
I don't know anything about that.
And
They
that was what they
advertised it.
said, and this is how it was advertised. So a bunch of people signed up to go to the SUNY schools, and found out they didn't actually. Found out as the day they're going. We were kidding. You don't actually meet all the criteria.
Oops.
Because the criteria in New York State, there's a lot. First of all, you have to be a resident of New York State. You have to have lived here for so many years. You have to go. You have to take. You can never have no previous college experience. You have to have graduated high school with this certain level of GPA. You have to then live in New York State for 5 years after you graduate. Which New York State has an issue with everyone leaving, so that's their strategy. And everyone tries to leave, and if you leave, you have to pay them back. It turns into a loan. And there's a bunch of other caveats that actually Niagara University has been pushing that, because first of all, all the SUNY schools are now filling to capacity. So people are getting rejected from places like UB because they just don't have capacity anymore.
Yeah.
Because everyone's going on this scholarship. And basically, NU strategy now is sitting here and going, you got rejected from the Excelsior scholarship? We'll give you financial aid, because NU does give out a lot of financial aid. I don't know if you're aware of this.
I got a lot of scholarship money. I got a lot.
And 98% of people in NU do not pay full pay full tuition.
Yeah.
That's sweet NU money.
I don't know who is paying for. I don't know who that 2% that's paying full tuition in this college is. I feel kind of bad for them.
Give me money.
But
Thanks, NU.
NU does give away a lot of money, and now NU's trying to figure out ways on how to fix that, because the private colleges are getting hurt a little bit from this public scholarship thing. But it's just funny because you're watching New York State do what these European countries and do with these scholarships, and it's been showing it's not working right.
Yeah.
And a lot of these other countries, have the, free college. One, they have a low population, but two, they're not industrial job countries. The main exports of these countries are either, and in fact, one of the funny things, I can't remember what they were saying, a lot of countries in the European Union have severe tech problems. Yeah. Tech companies will not go in the European Union. And I can't remember why. I think it's either something the way their industrial complex is set up, but I mean, their people are very educated, but the jobs are kind of all over the place, and the taxes are high, and living is low, to the point where there's a town in, you see a lot of areas right now. Have you ever seen you can come live here for $200? Australia will pay you to live in Australia.
Really?
They will pay you. They want people from America. If you're an American, they will pay you to live in Australia.
That is awesome.
Because they want you, because they're having, a lot of these countries are having population issues. In fact, I was just watching a show last night. They're like, hey, you want to live in Italy? They'll sell you a house for $1.
Really?
The fact is, you'll have to spend about $45K to fix the house, and you have to agree to live there for like at least 5 years and fix up the house. But and it's like in Italy, and it's funny, but they're talking about Italy, and then they mention, and they're like, on the island of Sardinia. I'm like, and they're like, but yeah, you get to live in Italy. I'm like, no, you get to live in Sardinia.
Yeah.
I'm like, that is not Italy. Like, Sardinia is not Italy.
Apologies to any Sardinians who are listening.
I'm
any of the 6 people listening right now, if you're from Sardinia.
I might be. It's sketchy. We don't know because I'm
Sicilian.
I might be a bit Sardinian too.
Sicilian's Italian though, right?
They're all Sardinia is technically part of it. They're all technically their islands junked off of Italy, but Sicilian is also distinct. Like if someone said, "Hey, you get to live in Italy," and you're living in Sicily, you're not living in Italy. Whenever they think of Italy, they think, "Oh, Tuscany, Rome,
Naples."
Venice." Naples, Venice. Like, no, you're living in the middle of nowhere.
You're living in Palermo.
Yeah.
Wow. Hey.
You're living with the Capuchin monks and the catacombs.
And there's a crazy old woman who tries to stab you.
Hey. No, there isn't.
But that's a reference to... I think that was a reference to... What was that reference?
Aren't you Sicilian?
Yes, that's a reference to The Godfather.
Do you really make references to the God? He's that Italian.
My family is that Italian.
Oh, dear Lord.
My family literally... I know my uncles... Some of my uncles can quote the film verbatim.
My family is not like that. My family is like the hard-working Italian that is like, really? You're gonna start quoting the mafia?
Hey, so we've got 15 minutes.
Yeah, before we have this inter-Italian fight.
What else do we have to talk about that isn't anything we've been talking about for the last 45 minutes?
What's Bobby
because,
got?
man, I've been zoned out completely, to be honest.
Bobby show.
You got any video games lately? Or what's in the news?
What's in the news? Man, Shadow of the Colossus remake comes out on Tuesday.
Please. It's probably going to be just the Shadow of the Colossus with like a sort of visual update,
That's what they're doing. Yeah.
Okay, good. Because Shadow of the Colossus is a really good game.
They remade it completely, so it's not a port or anything. They redid the whole thing, but yeah.
Wow.
Shadow of the Colossus.
That's awesome. I'm currently checking my Twitter feed to see if there's any.
Well, here's the thing, right?
I have a Twitter, by the way, folks, and it's been awesome. This is the best thing ever.
Yeah,
man. What's all the stuff we haven't talked about yet that happened over the break?
Oh yeah, what happened
over the break that we haven't talked about yet? Man, what are your thoughts on the Tide Pod epidemic, Joe?
Yeah. Also, Joe, do you happen to know the way?
No, Nico, but do you happen to know the way? I think you know the way, my friend. Okay, for those of you who are just like, what the heck are they talking about?
Nobody knows what this is. We haven't talked about this.
Endless memes. Okay, Tide Pod is a meme from the internet. And do you know the way is the Uganda?
It's a meme from the internet? No way! I thought it was from a newspaper. I thought it was analog. Oh, those good old analog memes, ladies and gents. Oh, I read my funny paper memes. Lol. I was reading, I was reading a review about a coffee maker yesterday because I'm considering buying a new coffee maker. And someone was writing about, they're like, this is the best coffee. If you're someone like me who likes a real cup of coffee and not that highfalutin excuse for coffee them youngins are drinking, you'll love this. And with these, I don't got 15 minutes to wait for my coffee to brew. That's enough time to commit a felony, which I would never do, as long as you don't touch me before I had my coffee. I'm like, and this is just a review on jcpenney.com.
A review?
Yeah, a review of the coffee maker on jcpenney.com.
What the heck?
I'm like, highfalutin, a felony, which I'd never commit as long as you don't breathe near me before I have my morning coffee. This thing brews in 15 minutes like a real coffee. None of them, they're Starbucks drinkers. I'm like, yep. Because there's two types of coffee people. There's types of coffee people that are like, because it was a bun, which are the industrial type that they use in restaurants.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, buns are the greatest. They make the perfect cup of coffee. And then you have other people like, yeah, no, buns don't make a good cup of coffee. I use my specialty espresso, blah, 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 and it perfectly heats the water to the perfect temperature, and it was polished by bunnies and cherubs' ass cheeks.
Who wants to go to the government-funded poetry slam?
Well, yeah.
And it's like, but that's it. There's two different types of coffee, and there's always the joke about like, oh, have you seen? Do you remember the End of the World, that flash animation from like 2004?
Somewhat,
The
yeah.
one that's fire all the missiles.
Yeah,
yeah. He made a second one.
He did?
It just came out a month ago. He
I
made
might have
an
seen
End
it.
of the World too.
I might have seen it.
And I was like, oh geez. But it was funny because he made the difference between like the two different kinds of America, and one of them is like the Starbucks Frappuccino drinker. And the other one is the diner coffee drinker. And it's funny because I'm the diner coffee. Like I drink like black coffee with like my. I go to places where you will, no matter whatever breakfast place I go to, I will end up smelling like whatever they are cooking. And it is worth it.
I was talking about how I got the French press before the show started,
Yeah.
and then you said something that's
Drip
like,
is
drip is
better.
better, but like there's so many different there's the French press, there's drip, there's pour over, there's AeroPress, there's like all this other stuff, but the French press makes good coffee. It's just really annoying to clean every time I use it. So.
There's a coffee place, and I want to go there sometime. Have you heard of Pulp 716?
No.
Okay,
No.
so Pulp 716, there's one in Tonawanda, or North Tonawanda, and there's one in Lockport. I think the first one was in Lockport, the second one was North Tonawanda. They're a comic book shop, but they also serve coffee and like bubble tea and all that stuff.
Oh, wait,
But,
where?
Bubble tea?
Yeah.
Where is this?
It's called Pulp 716. There's one in Lockport, one in North Tonawanda.
Oh,
They're
okay,
a comic
well, yeah.
book slash thing. But one of the things they do that is really cool is they make, so they have different coffee brews. So they have like a Gatsby brew,
Yeah.
a Blizzard of 77 brew, a Beatles brew. And they make the coffee the way it was made in that era. So like they have a 1963 style coffee where they grind it and roast it and basically brew it the way coffee was brewed back then. Same thing with the 20s.
Awesome.
So it's like a coarser grain because the material's not as good. They have a 77 brew, which oddly enough, coffee in the 70s was different than coffee now. And it's all like different brews. And I find that interesting because like you can actually have like a cup of coffee that is true to an era.
Yeah.
And I just thought that was like brilliant because no one really does that.
Speaking
Sweet.
of bubble tea is really great.
Bubble tea's
but
the best,
There's
man.
nowhere to get bubble tea around here. The only
What are you talking about? You know that bazaar in Buffalo?
Yeah, they're all in like.
I'm talking. Well, specifically,
around here.
the one I've been to, the place I've been to is Kung Fu Tea. It's on the UB campus,
Oh.
and they have really great bubble tea.
I
but
don't
it's so
understand.
it's like
I don't like things mixed in my drinks, like weird blobs of
Gummy
things.
I just
Yeah.
like it's just the pearls and then milk tea. Like that's all I get.
Yeah,
I get
I
a
don't-
mango. I get a mango with
I
like the
don't-
chewy gummies.
Like, I like
I
milk
don't
tea.
I don't like pearl. I wouldn't like that in my drink. That
If you could like if you get it without the pearls, like milk tea is still really good.
yeah,
I love it.
Um,
Love that bubble tea.
You can
guys.
just make it. Like I made some the other day. Just at
Really? You
home.
can just
was,
make it?
Yeah. You just like brew a cup of black tea. You mix in some milk, sugar, and then if you want it ice, just pour it over ice.
Wow.
that's all milk tea. I mean, that's just tea.
Yeah, it's milk.
just
It's
tea.
well, hey, it's milk tea.
milk
Stay
tea.
frosty
Yay.
royal milk tea.
Oh, dear
Stay frosty,
Lord,
Robbie.
Robbie. Your mania is too much.
Oh, your mania. Either of you guys, I figure both of you guys have been to like the Orange Cat, right? In Lewiston.
I've been to Orange Cat. Yeah.
I've
Yeah,
never
Orange
been
Cat's
to
great.
They have really good
Orange
coffee.
Cat, they got good stuff, yeah. And I like the people who run it because we bonded over the Grateful Dead, so obviously. So yeah, Orange Cat's great.
I don't know. My coffee tastes are very.
I just like a good like mocha. That's
I've
my
been
thing.
trying to find a good coffee. I also learned because I have the individual brewer for my Keurig, the little adapter cup, but I swear it burns the coffee more than my drip does. Because
It burns the coffee.
yeah, well, yeah, you can
Burns it.
burn coffee if it's too hot.
Yeah,
or
well,
if it's
yeah,
too hot,
yeah,
and you
yeah.
can burn coffee, and it.
But
burns.
does the Keurig get that hot? Like the
No,
Keurig
it's
doesn't.
well, it's not only that. Because you literally have to put like an entire like. Have you ever seen like one of those Dixie? You've seen a Keurig cup, right?
Yeah.
That you have to put like that entire thing is filled with
Yeah,
coffee ground.
yeah.
That's a lot of grind. Like that's a lot of coffee. So it makes a really strong cup.
Yeah.
But the other thing it does is it tends to, and it might just be the adapter's plastic and it gives it a weird taste. But it tends to make it not taste as good. There is one, I keep trying to find like maple flavored coffee, and they're always maple scented, but they're never maple flavored.
Maple scented.
But there was one coffee I found that I just loved, but I tried it I tried to put it in the Keurig converter, and it just kind of screwed up the flavor. The drip kind of made it better. It was, I can't remember if it was Boston Co. or something, Boston Coffee Co. They sold it at Tops. It was butter pecan.
Oh,
And
man.
it genuinely, and it's just regular black coffee.
Yeah.
But it's not only it's not perfume scented. It tastes like it has this very strong kind of like not sweet, but it has a flavor of like butter pecan, like pancakes.
That
or
sounds
something.
really good.
That
It is
sounds
so
awesome.
good. And I'm sure if you put like cream and sugar in
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
it would taste like
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
I drink it black and it's
I,
already pretty good.
Dude, that
I-
sounds great.
But I've had so many where like I had a Keurig and it was maple sleigh.
Yeah.
There was a Keurig one, and it just smells like maple, and it smells really good, but it tastes horrible.
I've got to get better with making coffee in my French press. I gotta do it more because I want to buy a grinder and buy my own beans and grind it myself.
Oh, you're
but-
Bobby. You're going to
listen.
that level.
No, it's not
Yeah,
that.
you're going full
it's-
hipster,
it's-
man.
It
Look at his hat.
Oh my god!
freshly grounded coffee tastes better than pre-grounded sit in a package in a store for however long.
Well, yeah,
it
it's
tastes
Yeah,
better.
But next you're gonna tell me about how awesome craft beer is, and
I
Pabst
drink
Blue
like,
Ribbon.
I drink
Did you
like
see
Labatt
what
Blue,
the number
so-
the
Labatt
number
Blue.
one
You drink
domestic
Labatt
is?
Blue.
Who doesn't-
Labatt.
Labatt Blue.
Labatt. It's Labatt.
Labatt.
Man. You're
Labatt.
From,
Labatt.
You're from Western New York. It's Labatt.
Labatt.
We have a Buffalo A. Don't deny it. Don't deny your Buffalo A.
I do not deny my Buffalo A.
So, one of the things though is, so like Budweiser is crying because, oh no, Budweiser's not the top domestic beer anymore. And like
Budweiser.
it's funny because like they're saying
I-
millennials are drinking more cocktails and stuff, so they're not even drinking beer unless they're drinking craft beer. But one of the
Pabst
things I
Blue
found
Ribbon.
interesting is like Bud Light surpassed Bud because everyone's just drinking light beer. Miller Lite took the top seat, and I was happy about that because I've had like craft beers and
Yeah.
stuff. No way I like Miller Lite. I don't really like beer, and Miller Lite is just so
Yeah.
inoffensive. It's a non-offensive. it's a French fry beer. It's an onion
It's a
ring
French
beer.
fry.
I prefer light first of all because less calories.
Yeah.
I don't want to
Yeah.
just chug calories
Yeah.
like that.
I personally am just not a beer person.
I'm
never
not a
got-
beer person, but if I'm gonna have a beer, I mean a
Yeah.
Miller Lite.
Eh.
I like Coors.
I've
Light.
never found one that I liked yet.
Have
like
you had a Miller
beer.
Lite? Because a Miller Lite is just a completely inoffensive beer.
A Miller Lite?
Yeah, like it and know what's really funny is light beers have more alcohol than regular beers.
Really?
Yes, because of the. I mean, basically, sugar gets converted into alcohol. That's how beer
Yeah,
is made.
yeah.
But so like everyone thinks like Guinness is like your Irish drinker. Heavy.
Literally a dinner in a glass.
Like, but like a Guinness is like an Irish drunk beer.
Yeah.
Guinness has less alcohol by volume than Bud Light. A
Wow.
Bud Light, I think, has something like 7% alcohol by volume. A Guinness has like 4 or 4.5. So that's a significant. Like, I mean, that's. I mean, you could basically have 2 Guinnesses instead of a Bud Light. That's significant. Did you hear they're looking to lower the drunk limit?
The drunk limit.
The drunk.
drunk
I always thought you said the drinking age. I was like,
No,
finally.
no, the drunk. No, because the
the-
drinking. It's funny. The drinking age. Know what I love about like
Living next to Canada?
No, our lovely land. Back in the day, you could drink at like 19 or 18 or 19.
Yeah.
You couldn't vote until you were 21.
Oh, that
And then
that makes
they
the sense.
lowered the voting age but raised the drinking age.
That makes all the sense.
which is beautiful. It's
Oh.
like you can have one or the other. You can't have both.
But Canada gets both.
Well,
Canada's a better country.
it is
No, it is
it's
not. It's not.
It asks people in Canada.
Even with legal weed and
There-
other
there-
things, it's
there's
still
a lot
not
of nice things in Canada, but there's a lot of. I mean, the reason Canadians
Taxes.
continue to come here is also because
Well, yeah, the
Taxes.
you know,
money problem.
Canadian shipping is
Yeah.
horrible. The Canadian dollar went up to, I don't know, I should check what the Canadian dollar is trading at right now. Anytime the Canadian dollar goes above 80 cents, it's good for us because they start coming back here. Unfortunately, and it's not because the Canadian dollar is going up. The G10 currencies are going up because the US dollar has been kind of sinking over the last year.
Yeah.
I wonder why.
That should be totally our comedy sketch now. Whenever I do that, or maybe you could do the when I say boom.
So, come on. on.
I'm telling you, Bobby can be our effects guy. Like, just
We
sound
have
effects.
a soundboard.
No,
Yeah.
he is our human soundboard.
Why does
What the heck was that? I don't even know anymore. What is life?
Why is Google? Okay,
Hey, it's 1
at
o'clock.
Hey, it's 1
81
o'clock.
cents. Oh, okay, so I mean, we could go over. It doesn't matter.
Let's
I mean,
go.
I
go.
gotta go to
He's
an
gotta
Bye,
go to class.
Joe. No.
So Bobby and I will just talk about
Yeah.
Canadian.
And if you guys aren't done by then, I might drop by and see if you guys aren't done. But if
think
I'm
we
not
have to be done,
back,
right?
We have to be done. There's shows coming in.
Oh, okay. Bye, friends.
Bye, Joe.
Whoa, there's. I'm sorry, I just got a Sun Park Mall update, and I got to read that. Zoran Kokov's name just popped in the news. What is he doing?
Should I close the door? Is it open?
Yeah, close the door.
It didn't close all the way.
Big Thunder timeline under wraps. What do you mean? Oh man, they're not going to tell us when it is. Okay, so the Gazette's asking about the brewing. So I'm going to read that later. There's going to be a post on redhoodandmanatee.wordpress.com about it because that website is so dead. I was considering. Did I tell you last time I was considering buying a Blogger version because it would be like $12, but then I didn't because.
For what?
Like because Blogger is such a dysfunctional system compared to WordPress.
a lot of blog like sites like that are.
WordPress isn't WordPress is very limited and it costs a ton of money, but it's nice.
Yeah.
It's user friendly. A lot more than Blogger. Blogger's a bit like strokey. But anywho, the Canadian dollar is at 81 cents right now, which is great because when the dollar 80, I want to say like between 78 and 80 cents is the threshold for whether Canada comes here. So when the Canadian dollar is low, and the Canadian dollar has been low, you could tell by just go to the outlet mall.
Yeah.
Everything is Adidas is closing in the outlet mall right now.
Really?
Yeah.
well.
But it's being replaced with something. Dollar Party's closing. I'm very sad. The dollar
The
store.
outlet mall has clothes stores. It doesn't have a lot of.
No, it's collapsing again.
Yeah.
But H&M's coming there, so it's gonna. But basically, the outlet mall is. I mean, we've gone through this cycle before. It's what caused all the other malls to shut down. Basically, it's gonna be a tweet. Basically, with the outlets, when the Canadian dollar is below 78 cents, the Canadians do not see the incentive to come over here and shop because it turns into either a wash or worse because their dollar's just not valued.
Yeah.
And stores will always take it less than, they'll take it at like 60 cents. They'll take it low because stores will never take the money at face value because they just don't. When it gets to about 80 cents, and you can see this historically if you watch, you can directly tie Niagara Falls' economic state to the Canadian dollar's trend chart in the last like 30 years. It's insane. It's hilarious to see it, but it's also scary. So in 2004, 2006, remember the outlet mall was empty. There was like a linens and things going out of business, and the guy at the popcorn stand. And then the Canadian dollar upticked and started trading actually above the U.S. dollar for the first time ever. And the mall got to the point where it was expanding and making a ton of money. Then the Canadian dollar fell again, and it fell as low as like 69 cents, which is horribly low. And the Canadians stopped coming, which hurt the local economy. 78 to 80 cents is the threshold. So if they're trading at if their dollar's valued at like 80 cents, we're good. It's valued at 81 cents right now. So I'm expecting we're going to see, we had some Canadians come over for Black Friday and stuff, and there's a lot of shoppers. There just wasn't that constant stream. Right now, the mall is very dead. If the trend continues and the dollar and it stays at 81 cents and Canada doesn't intentionally sink their dollar, which they wanted to do to try to fend off NAFTA conflicts, because the U.S. wants to get rid of North American free trade, and Canada's worried about that. So the Bank of Canada's been keeping interest rates low to try to basically what we did during our recession, which caused the Canadian dollar to climb. Basically, they're trying to make our dollar climb by sinking theirs, and it's like a race to the bottom because Steve Mnuchin said he's not worried about our weak dollar, and then Trump said we need a strong dollar, so it sent a conflicting signal, which caused our dollar to sink a bit more. So they're trading at like 81 cents. If it continues this trend and continues to uptick, I imagine that the not local economy for shopping will go up again, or at least stabilize back to where it was before the last couple of years where the Canadian dollar went down. So keep an eye on the Canadian dollar, folks, because it's going to determine pretty much the fate of Niagara and Erie County for the next 5 years.
Watch the Canadian dollar. Keep an eye on it. Keep an eye on that. Keep an eye on Radio Shack stock too, because it's gonna go up.
They're bankrupt.
It's gonna go up.
Their Radio Shack. I think is it still? It is still. It is locked at 24 cents, ladies and gents. Oh, that was. Remember when we fake invested in it and it doubled up, and then we just stood with it and it just collapsed? I was like, really? Yeah, fake. Oh, and Aaron, who owns 0.01% of American Knowledge, and the extension America Foods that was entirely funded by you.
Yeah.
And yet you owned none of it. that was bad.
Man. All right.
Time to go?
I think, yeah.
Yeah, it's time to go, folks. So, for Niagara 124, and not, as it was written, NAFTA 248. I'm Nico.
I'm Bobby. And I'm Joe.
Bye, folks.
Bye.